Hello guys, my name is Sorin and today I will build the BMS board, which is a battery management system using TP4056 modules. These charging modules are very good for charging individual lithium cells. But are they any good connected in series? And what about the safety features? Let's test this theory. I will use an electrical transformer for this project because each TP4056 charging module needs an isolated supply voltage. If all the modules are connected to the same power supply output, the series connections will create a short circuit on the power supply and the lithium cells. But be careful when you're working with electrical transformers, you can easily get electrocuted if you don't have experience. Always unplug it from the mains when you're working on it. You can also use individual isolated 5V power supplies, but I prefer transformers. This transformer is a little busted, so I don't think it's usable at the moment. It probably upset me in the past. This one looks much better, although it seems to be repaired or modified by me, but I don't remember for what purpose. Let's connect the mains cable and test it first. Originally it was a 28.6V center tapped transformer. Now it has an output of 20V. The TP4056 charging module needs a supply voltage between 4.5 and 5.5V, so I need to dismantle the transformer and modify the secondary winding. But a 5V DC peak voltage is not enough, because if I connect a load a bit smaller than 1A, you can see the output power dropping to 3.5V and 0.6A. That's why we need the higher peak voltage, because the load will decrease the voltage to the average value. Transformers are not like regulated power supplies, they don't have a stable voltage. I've made a detailed video on my Patreon page where I modified the transformer and tested with one TP4056 module, so check it out when you have the time. To dismantle the transformer, I will use a flathead screwdriver and some pliers. This is the primary winding. It was rewound by me by hand because I don't have a coil winding machine. I will add another insulating tape over the primary coil. The secondary coil needs a bit more work. I will unwind it and count the number of turns. I need 32 turns for each output. This is my collection of beautiful coils, new and salvaged. I will use enameled copper wire with the same diameter. The original wire has a diameter of 0.6mm, or does it? This nice looking but shitty micrometer is not good enough for this measurement. So I will use my retired analog micrometer, which is much better than this digital micro sheet meter. 0.62mm, and the new copper wire has a diameter of 0.62. A thicker copper wire on the secondary winding will give me a higher output current, but there isn't enough room inside the transformer for a thicker wire. Every layer on the bobbin has 16 turns, so I need 2 layers of copper wire for each output. After each layer I will add a piece of masking tape. This is used for insulation and to better arrange the next layer of wire. For more information about electrical transformers, please watch my transformer video. I need a peak voltage of 5.8V DC from each output, because when I connect even a small load to it, for example this small voltmeter, it will lower the voltage enough to be used by the TP4056 module. And the secondary winding is finished. It's time to put the transformer back together now. The last 2 pieces shaped like the letter E are the hardest to mount. I will insert them between 2 other plates and force them in. For the final part of this transformer build, I will use a fine-tuned hammer to arrange all the plates. I will connect 4 charging modules in series, so I need 4 outputs of 5.2 volts RMS from the transformer. The transformer cover will be mounted using this precision tool. The TP4056 charging module has a programmable resistor which is used to set the maximum charging current. The default value is 1.2 kΩ for a maximum charging current of 1 amp. The transformer isn't powerful enough to charge the cells with 1 amp. I need a lower charging current. So let's carefully remove this tiny resistor and replace it with a 2.2 kΩ resistor. This should decrease the charging current to around 545 mA. For each output of the transformer, I will use a 2 amps bridge rectifier and a smoothing capacitor of 5700 microfarads. This will convert the alternative current coming from the transformer into direct current, which is used by the charging module and the small voltmeter. I will solder these components on a prototype board. For the charging modules, I will use pin headers. I prefer to use my old soldering gun instead of a pencil type soldering tool, even for these small joints. The tip of the gun heats up more and faster, so I can solder everything much faster and don't heat up the rest of the components on this small circuit board. I will touch each soldering joint for only 1 or 2 seconds. A simple digital voltmeter will be used to read the voltage of each lithium cell. I will reverse the direction of the wires so I can easily connect it to the rest of the components. The voltmeter supply wires are connected to the transformer DC output and the sensor wire is connected to the battery positive terminal. I will mount all the components on this piece of MDF. Each AC output of the transformer is soldered to a bridge rectifier on the board. The battery holders will be fixed to the MDF panel with screws, and I will use hot glue for the circuit board and voltmeters. I will solder the rest of the wires according to this schematic, but if you really want to use a setup like this for charging portable battery packs, I suggest you connect them in a simple way. This is practically a 4S balanced charger, but you can build one for how many lithium cells in series you want. Finally, it's finished. But what is this device exactly? It's a 4S balanced charger with protection board and voltage monitoring. Or in simpler terms, a charger and a BMS. It seems a lot of work so far, but I've built this to explain more things about the TP4056 module and lithium-ion cells. So let's start the tests. Normally, when you make a battery pack, you should use cells of the same type, like these brand new cells, which I've already tested and they are very good. But for this test I will use different types of cells, old and new. They have different capacity, internal resistance and number of cycles. I want to test the protection features in extreme conditions. Here you can see the real capacity of each cell, starting from 1 amp hour to 3.3 amp hours. First, I'll turn off the mains current because I want to start with the over-discharge protection feature, not to charge the cells. My DIY voltmeter and ammeter will measure the output voltage of the battery pack and current consumption when I connect a load. The cells are almost discharged, as you can see from the battery pack voltage. And when I connect this light bulb, the voltage is decreasing even more. It's using only 190 mA. This is taking too long. I will add a power resistor to increase the load. Now the voltage will decrease faster. I will measure the voltage of each cell with the multimeter. The third cell is the most discharged. When the cell voltage drops to 2.5 volts, the over-discharge protection should activate and disconnect the cell from the rest of the circuit. So let's see what happens. The battery pack voltage drops from 11.9 volts to 8.4 volts. This means the discharged cell is removed from the circuit. You can also see the cell voltage rises a bit because it's not under the load anymore. But the rest of the cells are still connected. The current somehow bypasses the third cell through the charging module and continues to power the load in a 3S configuration. Although the battery protection works, this is not good if you need a certain minimum voltage for your project. Now the fourth cell is about to be protected and removed from the circuit, and we are left with a 2S discharged battery pack. The protection features of this charging module disconnect the cell between the negative terminals. I will short the negative terminals now and bypass this protection because I will solder a simple BMS board to test the over-discharge protection feature. It's a 3S board, so I will use only the first 3 cells. You can see the total voltage rising with each added cell. And when the first cell drops to around 2.7 volts, the entire battery pack is disconnected from the circuit. This is how an over-discharge protection features should behave. Let's get back to our tests. I have removed the blob of solder from the negative terminals. It's time to charge the cells now. We know that these TP4056 modules are very good for charging lithium cells. They use a constant current, constant voltage method for charging, and they have an overcharge protection of 4.2 volts. So no matter how discharged the cell is or what capacity it has, this module will fully charge it. After almost 2 hours, the first cell, with the lowest capacity, gets to 4.2 volts and the charging current is starting to decrease. The cells are not hot at all, remember, they are charged with maximum 0.55 amps. The TP4056 IC is also okay, but if you charge the lithium cells with 1 amp, you should add a small heatsink on the chip, because it will get very hot, especially if you use it in a closed enclosure. But the bridge rectifiers are very hot, especially the fourth one, because it will take the longest time to charge the cell. Now we need to wait a few hours until the cells are charged with this low current. I'll dim the light so we can see the voltmeter displays better. When a cell is fully charged, a blue LED will light up on the charging module. The charging process continues for the rest of the cells until all of them are fully charged to 4.2 volts. So, because each cell is charged individually, we can say that this is some sort of active balancing, which is very good. It took 8.5 hours to fully charge all the cells, because the fourth one has a big capacity. But if you use a more powerful transformer and charge the cells with 1 amp, it will take a little over 4 hours, which is normal for big capacity cells. Let's move on to the next test. A good battery management system board should have an overcharge release voltage feature. What the hell is that? It goes like this. When a cell is fully charged, the overcharge protection is triggered and it will stop the charging current going to the cell. Because if you continue to put current into a fully charged lithium cell, it will damage it. Then, if the cell is not used, its voltage will decrease very slowly. I will simulate this self-discharge cycle with a very small load. The cell is slowly discharging until it reaches the overcharge release voltage, which for this module is 4 volts. Now the charging of the cell is allowed again and you can see the red LED turns on. This is useful because you don't want to damage the lithium cells with continuous charging, while the battery pack voltage is kept between 16 and 16.8 volts. But you also want as few charging cycles as possible, especially when you don't use the battery pack very often. For example, in a UPS, when you rarely have a power outage. But if you connect a bigger load, the charging process is started immediately for all the cells. And now let's test the short circuit protection. Well, does it work? The first module doesn't seem to work anymore. The charging voltage is 5.3 volts, so it doesn't have a short circuit protection. This video has come to an end, so let's recap the safety features. So this is my conclusion about the BMS board made with TP4056 modules. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.